village and intentional community, and their goal is just to have like human scale solution to problems of land using, food production, energy conservation, and appropriate use of technology. So first, some of the basic information about this. So they started at 1967. They're one of the largest and longest enduring secular intentional communities in North America. They have around 90 adult members and 15 children on 350 acres. This is interesting because they keep their population within like 100 people. Their values are cooperation, sharing, non-violence, equality, and ecology. They're self-supporting economically and partly self-sufficient. I'm going to go into that about it. So, working economy. So their labor system is a lot like Walton II society. So their trust-based labor system, credit-based, they organize work and share it equally. There's a variety of work for most people, and you don't have to stick to one specific position. You can do anything that you want. Their working hours between 42 to 45.5 hours. This is the picture that they're making hamrock furniture. So their basic income, their largest industry in the community are handcrafted casual furniture and tofu and soy food business. And they're also developing other industry as well. They have income sharing. This is how they share their assets. I'm gonna go talk about it later. And then for membership and interpersonal relationship, it's pretty complicated. If you want to be a member, you have to go through a 3-week visit, and then you have to be away from the society for a month for you to think about it, and then for them to decide if they want to take you. And then you can either move in or wait for another 6 months. And then later on, there will be 6 months provisional membership period, which is going to see if you fit the society well and if the society can actually take you. And then their population capacity, which I just talked about it. Before a new member can join, a current member have to drop out within their capacity, which is 100 people. They currently don't have space for children, which is kind of unfortunate. They basically treat people with gentle and tolerant, and then they have a variety of religious belief, which is a little different from other alternative communities. And their children are taken care of by their parents, but the community can teach the kids together. Their decision making, they have 3 planners, which they have, like, all of them have 18 months terms, and they have executive function. But it's a little bit different from Walton II, because you can actually vote the planners, candidates, and they're vetoed by 20% full membership. And the decision can be also overruled by simple majority. There are various managers, and those managers are actually those, whoever want to be manager, they can if they get approved. For covering large and small areas. And they also get their decision making through personal conversation, opinion paper, and polls. And they have weekly meetings. How does this community relate to our class? So first, they actually have a way to solve the tragedy of the common by controlling the population. They only have 100 people, which in some kind of way prevent the tragedy of the common from happening. And also they have income sharing. So basically income sharing avoids luxury economy. This is the way that any income generated in the community will be used to everybody and provide food and shelter and healthcare and stuff. And then pre-existing assets, basically you cannot use them, basically. You cannot sell, you cannot exchange, or earn income through pre-existing assets. Well, clothes and stuff are like fine, but for cars and like trailers and stuff, you just probably cannot use them, unless you got approved. And then relationship to Walton II. So their original inspiration is actually from Walton II, but they actually take up a lot of different ideas. So they have similar labor system, which is just different hours. They take credits, and they have similar government, planners and managers for decision-making system. And they use some kind of positive reinforcement because they provide treat food in certain kind of areas just to encourage people to try different kind of work. But there are differences. They're no longer behaviorist communities. For example, their education is exactly like the outside world. They have public schools or homeschooling instead of just having lollipops with the kids. And they are also, they don't have specific strategy of how to get good life as opposed to Walton 2, and they're actually really casual and spontaneity and being really mellow as opposed to Walton 2 that people have to be perfect and clean and ordered. One of their problems is just being too messy.
Alright, so I'm with Eden Hope, and this is considered an eco-village community, an intentional community. It's a campus for higher learning for the children of the earth. So it's an intentional community devoted to following the Native American Hopi tribe's way of life. The main priority is basically to take care of the land and prepare themselves for the coming of the fifth world. They believe we're in the end of the fourth world, going into the fifth world. And if you don't follow this way of life or teachings, then you won't be allowed to go into the fifth world. Many other stories follow the major biblical events like the flood and a bunch of other ones, but they have a slightly different outlook on why these events took place. They place a lot of emphasis on like the Mother Earth, the Great Spirit, and their Creator. And Eden Hope is actually situated off the coast of Australia on an island called Vanuatu, and they have around 2,000 acres. They breakfast. Started in 2007, and it's still going on today. They eat a vegetarian vegan diet as they live off land exclusively. They have about 5 bungalows and a few other buildings. Number of members was not given. I think there's only 2 people, which are the founders, Ruth and Steve, but nobody else is really mentioned. So they don't have a leader like Walden 2. They get along on their creed of love and compassion alone. They do allow visitors, but you have to be less than 3 months. And you can go to this website called Woofers. It's called Working Weekends and Organic Farms, and it's like you have to pay a membership fee in order to go in there, but it kind of gives you all the contact information and like all these different places you can go and work for the weekends or longer. If they want to become a member, they have to go through a really long trial period, taking several months is what they were saying, before they're accepted, but they didn't really give any criteria as to what you have to do. These are a couple of pictures of Vanuatu itself and the property, and I think that's the guy, Steve. So in December 2011, they officially became a conservation area. It's like technically known as Eden Hope Nature Preserve. This is a quote from the actual website. They're stating their purpose, which is to protect all life within its perimeter, thus reestablishing man in the overarching role he was meant to be. Thus is Eden Hope uniquely differentiated from all such nature reserves known to it in the world today. And how does this community relate to our class? So we talked about the tragedy of the commons. This community kind of addresses this problem by living sustainably on their land, making the smallest footprint possible, but maybe not so much since there's only 2 people living on 2,000 acres for now. But they also give back to the land by taking care of it. And it's similar to Walden 2 in the fact that they have no leader and they're trying to live a more simple lifestyle, but they differ in a lot of issues, and just a couple are listed here. They're not trying to create like a living behavioral experiment using positive reinforcements. They're just living under the creed or the teachings of the Hopi. And then Walden was not based on religion, while Eden Hope is solely based on the teachings of the Hopi.
So I chose Christiania, which is a town in Denmark near Copenhagen. A quote that goes along with the city is something Danish that cannot be found anywhere else. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But background and history, it was founded in 1971, and basically these group of hippies/squatters kind of broke into this military base to use it as a playground for their children, and this guy wrote an article about it, and so more and more people started going there, and soon they had about 1,000 people living there, and it's 85 acres of land. They're completely independent of the government, and they even have their own currency. And their mission statement is, the objective of Christiania is to create a self-governing society whereby each and every individual holds themselves responsible over the well-being of the entire community. Our society is to be economically self-sustaining, and as such, our aspiration is to be steadfast in our conviction that psychological and physical destitution can be averted. So it's a huge tourist attraction. It's, I think, the 4th biggest one in Denmark currently. They have over 1 million people visiting a year. I actually found a guide online that talks about everything that you can see there, from all the shops to the plays and music festivals they put on yearly, and they're always sold out. They have a very unique atmosphere. It was from the 70s, so a lot of it has a cool 70s vibe to it, and there's street art everywhere, and I'll show you more pictures, but it's really beautiful. So it's also recommended to take a guide. The place can actually be kind of dangerous. They have 9 rules that everyone has to follow, so it includes no weapons, no hard drugs, no violence, no privately owned cars, no biker colors, no bulletproof vests, no fireworks, no dynamite, and no stealing goods. So here's a couple pictures. You can see this picture right here is the no hard drugs sign, so they're really big on that. That's their flag, and they think that the 3 circles like represent love. So there's a map of the city. It says no hard drugs again. They're really big about that. Then there's like festivals and some more street art. It's really cool. Trouble in Losers Paradise. Losers Paradise is another name for it. Most of the troubles they have are related to drugs. When it started out, it was known as a place that people could just buy weed and hash whenever they wanted, and now it's legal in that area. It's not legal in Denmark right now, but in that area you can buy it 24 hours a day. They have 40 varieties. You can smoke anywhere you want, basically in the cafes and any open venue. But in the 80s, they had a big spike in crime-related drug-related crimes, and it's been rising since. And the Denmark police have been trying to get involved, but it's kind of hard. So Christiania itself implemented a harsh no hard drugs ban, and they will accept people who are addicts into their community, but they are expected to, I think within 3 months, quit and become completely sober, or they will be kicked out. Another issue is the land is currently not owned by the people there, and the government's just trying to sell it to them to make it official, but they feel like it goes against what they were founded on and its anarchist spirit. So the self-government. So all participants can equally be involved if they want to be. Any decision that is made has to be a consensus between all participants, so it's often called a consensus government. All government is practiced through their meetings, so they have, for example, they have a common meeting, which is just about anything to do with Christiania, like the whole area, but they also have meetings about their business, their treasury, their housing, anything really. And they also believe that Christiania has proved that there are alternative and environmentally sound ways of organizing society. So how does this relate to our class? So there's no real set systems of positive reinforcement there, but there seems to be punishment-based since they're all like the 9 rules, and it didn't say exactly what punishment would be, but I'm guessing it's not very good. Like one article I read, I don't know if it's true, but it said that an organized, like kind of like the mafia is running the area right now, so if you want to deal with them. As you saw, creativity is huge in Christiania, and it seems like it started out as a way to get away from the harsh Denmark rules or the harsh Danish rules that they felt were happening, and it just flourished since tourism has come in. And the government is run by all citizens who want to participate, and important decisions are made as a community. So overall, this community is the most different to what we learned about in Walden too, and it's based on an anarchist, hippie lifestyle, and free spirit, as I stated before. So that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I'd like just a little clarification about each of the 3 interesting communities. One, if I can read my own writing, is there was a comment that she made, the first speaker, about instead of lollipops, referring to, I didn't understand.
So in Walton 2, the basic education is more using reinforcement instead of using methods from outside world. But in Twin Oak, they're actually just using homeschooling and public school just like the outside world. They're not using very harsh reinforcement to raise their kids.
I don't understand how Walden 2 uses harsh reinforcement.
Oh, because in Walden 2 we talked about the lollipop and the soup example. So it seemed to me that it's pretty harsh on the kids about how to learn self-control, whereas in Twin Oak they just use any kind of method that outside world would use instead of being really behaviorist.
Next question, if you don't mind my taking up. I think you made this clear, but I just want to
people, and Denmark didn't wanna go through all the, maybe the enforcement to make them leave, and so they're just trying to get them to buy it now, like I said, and we'll see if that'll happen. Like, right now, they're in a dispute about
You
it.
mentioned that Denmark was harsh in some.
I think they felt that it was.
But, I mean, it sounds to me like they're awfully lenient.
Yeah, but I think like, you know, they're just like these hippie people who just kinda wanna live free and like.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I guess it's good to see that it still lives.
With that community, you said that they have their own currency, so for
Right.
tourists who go, is there currency exchange there, or how does that work? Because
That's fine, actually, that's a good question, we don't have that in the guide, I'm sure they take probably Danish currency, but maybe, it didn't really go into that specifically, but that's a good question, I didn't find it.
Kind of hard to like find information on these people because they're kind of a little bit more reclusive than, like mainstream, so
And
they
you
don't
said-
really put that.
you said there's like music festivals and
Yeah.
people from outside the
Yeah.
and they have to somehow have currency. to
Yeah, I
purchase that,
didn't-
right? So,
I guess I just didn't think about it, but nothing came up, so there must be some sort of system. It could also be like, those kind of things are probably free, I'm guessing, but I don't know. Obviously, if they're buying weed, that costs money, they're not gonna do that, so, I don't know. I can look into that if you want.
Since you brought up the, music,
Yeah,
is that stuff that they generate inside?
so,
Or are they bringing in outsiders to perform?
both, actually. So there's this one Danish band that actually goes into the city and like puts on music. And they feel like they actually like to create their music in the city. And so there's like both kind of going, yeah.
For the third community, is there any way that they control the population? Like, are they running out of room or anything, or?
It doesn't seem, they didn't say there was any rules about that. Like I said, they would take people who are addicts and they're just trying to, make them change. There wasn't any, as far as I saw, no harsh rules on the population. It was like 1,000 and growing, kind of, that's what it seems like, so, yeah. They
How many
regulated.
they can hold?
Well, there was a thing about housing, and so like whenever they build a new house, they have to, that's part of their meetings, they will meet and decide, should we have a new house, and so I'm guessing that's how they decided people can live in that house, yeah.
It's interesting that we've talked about various utopian communities, and the one that's really thriving number-wise is the one that encourages pot, or at least.
Right.
Any of the three communities, is there a measure of happiness, like, citizens?
I think for Twin Oak, as far as I can see, people look happy when they're in there. Because, they did mention in one of the paper that one of the member had written. So a lot of people come to Twin Oak with the kind of utopian dream, and if they kind of see that this dream was kind of fulfilled or kind of things, they would just choose to stay. If they feel like this is not for them, they can just drop out. So I would assume that people who still live in there would be happier than they live outside, because otherwise they can just drop out, because the dropping out is actually not harsh, you can just drop out.
I would say same probably, yeah. Just a choice to move in or move out.
My kind of one is, I think, more like minded people.